Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 126 of the It's the Pictures podcast. My name is John Gilpatrick, and joining me, as always, is
a Sundance 2022 survivor, Max Colville.
Oh my gosh, from your own couch, right?
I know that makes it sound not so difficult, but like, John, it was 18 movies, and one day I did a 5-movie day.
Oh my god, I don't think I've ever done that.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been possible if it was like longer movies. Like most Sundance movies are in that 1 hour and 30 minutes range, and like
that sounds nice.
Yeah.
My kind of festival. All movies should be 90 minutes or 3 hours. Have I ever told you my opinion on that before?
Yeah, I think you did. But I tell you, John, I watched one that was 2 hours and 50 minutes the other night, and that is the 1995 Heat. And
that one's good.
Really good, and it's just under 3 hours.
That's a good movie. It's close enough. It's close enough. How are you doing, though? You survived Sundance. What else is going on?
I think football's ending. We have one game left. Looking forward to watching that last game.
Don't say SB because we might get sued.
SB?
Super. Yeah.
Supper Bowl.
Yes, sure. Okay. Yeah. It's the big game.
Yeah, the big game.
Yeah. No, that'll be fun. That'll be entertaining, hopefully. And neither of our teams are great franchises are anywhere close, but that's fine too.
Rebuilding.
I guess it'll be less stressful. Well, tell me a little bit about Sundance. So I haven't really been following the festival or the movies, but like I know you recorded some bonuses and such, but what are some things that jumped out? And then do you want to talk a little bit about like what won awards and what was picked up and sort of when we're going to see some of these titles?
Yeah, sure. So some of the ones that I saw, like some companies came to the festival with acquisitions in hand already. There was one that I watched called Fresh that has like Sebastian Stan in it, and I forget the young woman's name, but she was in this show called Normal People that's on Hulu, and that one was picked up before the festival, and it's going to be launching on Hulu at the beginning of March. There was a lot of stuff that was ready to go from March. Another one that I watched was a Lucy and Desi, which is of course the stars of I Love Lucy. It was about their life, and it was like a true documentary as opposed to the film by Aaron Sorkin that came out which had Nicole Kidman and Javier Bardem in the roles. I liked that one. It was pretty standard like documentary, but I still really enjoyed seeing the footage and hearing their voices. Some other stuff that I saw that I really liked. I really liked the biggest acquisition of the festival, which is Cha Cha Real Smooth. That one has writer-director Cooper Raiff in the lead, opposite Dakota Johnson. And he's like a young 20s man, just out of college, and he's trying to decide what he wants to do with his life, whether or not he wants to follow his girlfriend who got a Fulbright scholarship to university in like Europe, or what else he's going to do, and why he's accompanying his little brother to a bar mitzvah. He ends up getting a job as a party starter for all the parties going on in his area of town, and he meets Dakota Johnson, who is a single mom of one, and they have a cool connection. And I really liked that movie. That one was acquired by Apple, and I don't think it has the same like awards potential as like Coda did, and like Coda is still like in some kind of conversation because I think like it's up for like best ensemble at the SAG Awards, so Coda is still hanging on in there, but this one just looks like more of a this will be a neat movie, and you can only see it on Apple Plus. And so I imagine maybe they'll release it around the same time, maybe August. Some other stuff I saw that I liked, one that's already picked up by HBO Max and CNN called Nalvani, and I didn't talk about this one in the in the newsletter or on podcast because I think I watched it right after I did my final dispatch, and it's really cool. It's about a Russian politician who was poisoned by Putin, and now he's imprisoned in Russia. But the documentary was actually like recorded during the time that he's recovering from his poisoning and before he went back to Russia. So it's really cool, like that idea that like, oh well, we're all witnessing his story, and unfortunately he's not able to enjoy that, or at least live to see the fruits of that labor. He also, there's some really cool, unbelievable like investigative stuff in the middle of the movie that is well worth seeing. Some other stuff, I caught up with two films after the awards were announced. Like one of the big winners of the festival was this film called Nanny, and unfortunately, let's see if I can get the name of the director in front of me because that is probably the most important part of it. But it stars a young woman who is coming from Senegal, and she is the nanny for this family. She's played by Anna Diop. I think she's in like a DC Comics television show. That's what she's best known for. And she has to take care of this white family's child, and all the while she's trying to save money so her own son can come from Senegal and come to America with her. And I thought her performance was really good. I was excited to see what won Sundance. While it wasn't my favorite, I thought it was pretty entertaining. The director's name is Nikyatu Yusu, and I think Monkey Paw Productions, Jordan Peele's company, has already like bought the rights to her next film. So not necessarily Nanny, but whatever she does next. And one of the last documentaries that I watched, I think it was like an audience award winner, was this movie called All That Breathes, and it was really cool. It's about like these guys who are dedicating their life to rescue birds, because these birds have like some kind of religious principle on them, and no one else is doing this job, so they like run like a little animal hospital out of their garage. And during the course of the documentary, New York Times picks up their story and pretty much changes their lives forever. And I just thought it was really entertaining. And I said in my review online that it was like the world's biggest mitzvah, which is like a Jewish word for like a really good deed. And I really enjoyed that one. So, but some stuff was picked up at Sundance, some stuff was left behind. Like I said, a lot of acquisitions before the festival. Um, Overall, like I think documentary was stronger again this year. Like I wouldn't be surprised to see those same documentaries talked about throughout the whole year, whereas like the narrative features were a little less exciting. Um, it's just the nature of things, I guess. So nothing like years past Sundance like premieres, like that had stuff like Whiplash or Call Me by Your Name, stuff that people were talking about all year. Um, Maybe that's due to the pandemic and just movies not showing up at Sundance or something else, but um, that seems to be the case. So, John, I hope you get to check out some of these movies sooner than later. Was there anything that you heard from me talk about just now, or overall some chatter that you heard from movies that you might want to see?
I mean, honestly, I've been pretty unplugged from that side of things. So I haven't kept up on it. I really like. I mean, what you were sharing with me was the first I've been hearing about a lot of these movies. Sundance is always kind of a mixed bag, I feel like, because people are so excited to be talking about new movies, like after talking about the same ones for months with all the award season stuff, that like stuff kind of can get hyped like way beyond where maybe it should. But then every once in a while, there's a movie that's like, oh no, that was like as good as advertised. So I'm not, we'll see. Like, I don't really know release dates or anything like that, but hopefully there's a few that kind of stand out as particularly memorable by the time we get to like the summer or something like that, and then I always feel like when you get to the fall, like that stuff's gonna get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, I mean, there was some stuff that was bought. Like one, John, I thought was interesting. It was like Bill Nighy stars in like a British remake of Ikaru, and
Okay.
from my understanding, it's like almost like a scene for
Oh, Bill
scene
Nye.
remake.
Okay, I
Yeah,
thought you said Bill Nye, like the science
no,
guy at first.
no, the British actor,
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense. Okay,
and
that sounds
so
interesting.
yeah, I mean, I like him. I like that story, but it's like I don't know if I need that. And I remember you like kind of like not loving that movie, so I guess it's a thing. But Sony
Oh,
Pictures Classics bought it.
yeah, it was a good movie. I think Sony Pictures Classics, they have an eye for, I think, the Sundance movies. The Father was one. Uh, Obviously did
Yeah, and
pretty
I
well for
like
itself.
Jockey. That's like their newer one that they are releasing
Oh,
with
okay.
Clifton Collins Jr.
Clifton
in it.
Collins
That
Jr. Yeah, yeah, cool. Well, I hope you enjoyed yourself, even though you're watching a zillion movies a day.
Yeah, I think there was more good than bad. Certainly,
That's good.
when you're watching some of them and it's a real stinker, and like the stinkers are easier to take early in the festival. When you're getting near the end, you're like, I really
Yeah,
can't take
I don't have
this.
time for this.
Yeah,
That's valid. That's valid. Um, okay, cool. Well, there was, I guess, some other news before, and I think I failed at the top to mention that this on this episode we're going to do our most anticipated of 2022, which should be fun, and I think the Sundance was a fair little prelude for that, right?
yeah,
Um, but a few other items to take care of before we get to that. There was I mean, in this sort of ongoing award season chatter, BAFTA nominations, and what were some of the like big takeaways from that?
yeah. So I just put this here because I figured it's another big group announcing stuff, and the biggest surprises were the lack of Spencer, and some people were like, it's because Prince William is the head of the BAFTAs, and he wouldn't
Oh,
want a
that's
story
funny.
about like Diana to be like reflect poorly on the royal family or something. I
I
don't know
would
if
say
that's the
that
case or if,
it was snubbed because it's not any good, but that's
right.
just my
Yeah,
opinion.
I don't know what they decided, but I guess that was some kind of drama.
Okay.
And Olivia Colman was not nominated, and
Oh, that's weird.
she's like British royalty at this point, and they're like, well, that's kind of weird that she wasn't nominated.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I've been seeing people suggest that she was like a front runner now. That does seem like a lot of that stuff is in flux more so than usual at this time of year. But um, nominations are probably due out in a week or two, right?
yes, John. So
Oscars.
I put it like down lower on the news on the outline here, but on the newsletter, I should be posting the nominations when they go live on Tuesday at 8:30 in the morning.
This
That's
Tuesday?
this Tuesday.
Gee whiz! Oh my word.
Yeah, 8:30 on
Okay.
the Today Show probably, or Good Morning America or something. They'll announce them and
Okay. Very
YouTube.
cool. Very cool.
So look forward to those. I won't push you to rush to do another podcast because we'll probably just do our picks
Yeah, we could
of,
do our. Yeah, right.
as
I
a,
think that's good.
as opposed to just announcing the nominations. I'll carry that on the newsletter.
Sounds great.
Um,
Beautiful. Which you can subscribe to if you go to itsthepictures.substack.com.
right.
Um, Before we do our most anticipated, Netflix had a big video release that was just so weird.
Yeah. So like they did their now I guess annual teaser because they did one for
Did they ever do
2021.
that before?
They did one
I
last
because
year, but
I don't remember last year's. I remember HBO Max doing or I don't know if it was HBO Max at the time or just a Warner Brothers thing or whatever, but they did that last year because we saw all the movies that were coming to HBO Max, and that was exciting.
yeah,
The
they
Netflix
did one
one
last year.
just completely depressed me. Like honestly, it really
It's
did. Like I was just so dejected after I watched that.
yeah, it's like 80% of the movies they showed you have zero interest in, and
Yes,
it's just like
but they
fodder.
all are going to cost like $300 million.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I
then
couldn't name one besides for the one that I highlighted here, which is Knives Out 2. And
oh yeah,
they show like a 1 second like teaser of like the cast.
you're just
Um
standing by a boat.
yes, and That's to get you hyped for that. And it was funny. I was talking to someone online and was like, "Oh, I didn't know like that was a Netflix film now." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, it was a big deal.
Oh
Netflix
my
paid a lot
god,
of
yeah.
money for those Knives Out movies."
I don't know. It's bumming me out, man. Uh, yeah, I don't really know what else to say about those movies. Like, I don't know anything about them except for there's like a whole bunch of them, like really famous people in them. It just seemed like that's what they were highlighting was like, look at all the famous people we got for movies this year.
Yeah, and then
And
it looks like maybe they like took a second during during the making of the movies
yeah,
to like deliver
right.
a
To do a
line.
Netflix, like help do this Netflix hype video, which that was, I think, one of the other things that depressed me. It's just like, God, we're doing this. We're talking to the camera while we're filming scenes. Like, oh God, how what a bummer. But it's just so like manufactured. I hated it.
Yeah, it
Zero
was tough to watch.
stars. Uh,
0 stars.
yeah, I don't know. Not too much else to say about that. I'm sure we'll talk about those movies in due time. Let's do our most anticipated because I've been looking forward to this. I know you're a big fan of this episode as well. We always look back on what we were anticipating last year at this time to see how right or wrong we were. So, do you want to run through yours and I can run through mine and we can just talk about what we got right and what we didn't?
Yes, John. I've unlocked the spoiler on our spreadsheet of what we
Beautiful.
had. And so John and I like to do our most anticipated by categories. Sometimes it might be a little harder to find something that fits a particular category, so bear with us if it's a little loose. But last year for action, I wanted to see No Time to Die and Mission Impossible 7. I enjoyed No Time to Die, but Mission Impossible 7 is probably not even coming out. Oh, no, it's not coming out in 2022 either. It's already been delayed to
No,
2023.
I had that on my list for 2022 until I realized it wasn't, so I had to take it off. But that was my most anticipated action movie of 2021, which didn't happen. My others were No Time to Die, which I also enjoyed, and Eternals, which I never ended up seeing, but was the worst reviewed Marvel movie to date.
Yes, and for science fiction, I had The Eternals, and I have not watched it yet, even though it's on Disney Plus. And then it was Matrix 4, or now known as Matrix Resurrections, and
Of
I thought that
course.
was pretty great.
It was great. My number one sci-fi was something called Big Bug, which never came out. It's due out in February on Netflix. It is by the director of Amelie, Jean-Pierre Jeunet. Sorry. And I guess it still sounds fun. Matrix Four is my other, so obviously I was a huge fan of that. In comedy, my number one most anticipated was Don't Look Up, which I guess we're going to talk about later. So
Yep.
I won't say too much now. The French Dispatch also on there, which I enjoyed quite a bit. Not my favorite Wes Anderson, but I enjoyed it. And then The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which I never ended up seeing. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that either, even though like there's still like awards chatter for her performance at least, Jessica Chastain's, but
Yeah.
I just never sat down with it. That's on HBO Max now if people want to catch
Okay.
up with that. For me, comedy, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is actually now the
That's coming
opening
out
film.
2022.
It's the opening film for South by Southwest.
Oh, okay.
That's directed by the Daniels, who did that like Daniel
Right.
Radcliffe like ridiculous movie.
Yeah, Farting
Uh,
Corpse movie.
yeah, yeah. I think their stuff is that at least that movie was hilarious. So I'm looking forward to this one. Next Goal Wins, Taika Waititi. We still don't have a date on that. They don't know when it's coming out. Apparently, it had like uh Army Hammer like footage in it that they like recast for it recently.
Okay.
So they're still working on that one.
Okay, good luck with that. Good documentary if you want to check it out in the meantime. What do we have next? Prestige
Prestige.
movies? Yeah, so mine was Blonde, which is the Andrew Dominic movie about Marilyn Monroe, which was conspicuously not in the Netflix promo video.
Still hidden.
Yeah, so still very excited about that. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. You can go back to this episode and listen if you're so inclined, but I'm still very excited about that. And then I was also excited about the United States versus Billie Holiday, which I never ended up seeing, even though Andra Day won at least I think Golden Globe and was nominated for an Oscar for that.
Was that a Hulu movie? It might still be on there.
Yeah, it's on Hulu. Yeah.
All right, for me, I had Prestige. I had 3,000 Years of Longing, another movie that we are longing for. That is not
Yeah,
out yet.
George Miller.
Yep. And then I had Nightmare Alley, which I unfortunately did not dig. That's a Guillermo del Toro movie, which, as of this recording, can now be seen on Hulu and HBO Max. Just came on both those services within this
There you
week.
go. I was also not that much of a fan of it, which was a bummer. But yeah, the 3,000 Years of Longing was my number one most anticipated movie of 2021, and I did not get to see it, obviously. So, uh, hopefully this year. We had to do a wild card, which is sort of like, are we gonna like it? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe we're not sure what it's about, but it's kind of intriguing nonetheless. Mine was number one was Annette, which was one of my least favorite movies of 2021. So
Oh, I don't think we ever talked about that one, you and I. And
I just hated it beyond words. I had
wow,
no words for it. The card counter I loved. That was my other wild card. That was in my top 10. If you can go back to the last episode and listen more about that. But yeah, so one wild card was a major hit and one was a major miss.
yeah,
Sounds about right.
yeah, they're wild. For me, my wild cards, two of them have not come out yet. Triangle of Sadness, which is the new Ruben Ostlund movie who did The
Oh, right, yeah.
Square and Force Majeure. I guess that was delayed due to COVID. It all takes place on like a cruise ship, I think, and
Oh, fun.
maybe we'll see it in May at the Cannes Film Festival. That looks like a good place for it to show
That
up
sounds
again.
about right. Yeah.
Don't Worry, Darling. That's the Olivia Wilde sophomore film with Harry Styles in it,
Oh, yes.
and that had a teaser already. It's due out at the end of 2022, not 21. So we'll see about that. And then The Northman, which is the new movie by Robert Eggers, who did The Lighthouse, and it's a Viking story. And there's been a full length trailer for that one out, and I think we're seeing that around April. I think
So
after the
none of
trailer,
those came out for you.
yeah, I think I saw that trailer and I got a little less excited about the movie because it's like standard Viking revenge stuff. But
I'm out on him. Just
yeah,
not interested anymore.
and then
That's how much I dislike the Lighthouse.
wow, and then most anticipated Candyman was a disappointment. Dune I liked,
Yep.
and The Green Knight was in my top 10 favorites of the year. So all over the place on that one.
Yeah. That's usually how these things go. But we're gonna try to nail it this year, and anticipate all the right movies. So we can start with our action movies. And do you want to go first?
Yes, I'm unlocking our action sections, John, as we
Bum
do
bum
it, but I
bum.
need to go too far. So we're gonna just put my backup action movie as something silly because I don't know whether or not it's gonna actually ever happen, and that's Top Gun Maverick, and I've wanted to see it for a
Is this
while,
supposed
but
to come out in February?
now it's supposed to come out like Memorial Day or like
Oy vey.
July 4th or something. They keep on moving the date, so I'll never know. Still want to see that. That thing's
Because
been talked
Tom
about for
Cruise was like narrating the previews for the freaking NFC Championship game or some shit. Did you see that? Yeah, May. I
yeah.
see
So
May 27th, 2022.
yeah, so
Ugh.
they're trying to bring it back, but who knows? Um, of- my favorite my most anticipated action is an easy one, and that's the Batman. I forget the name of the director, but he directed some of the later Planet of the
Okay,
Apes prequel
Matt
remakes.
Reeves.
Yeah, Matt Reeves, and I really liked those movies, so I was excited about the Batman. Robert Pattinson takes the role of the Caped Crusader, with Paul Dano playing the Riddler, and you have Colin Farrell playing the Penguin. Was it Zoe Kravitz
Yep.
playing Catwoman? So
Yeah.
pretty cool cast. I like the tone of the trailer.
Hmm.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. That's coming out in March.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun. I'm excited about that as well. I'm like kind of cautiously optimistic. Don't really know what to make of it. I liked the. He didn't do the first of the most recent Planet of the Apes uh,
Right. It was the 2 and 3, Dawn and whatever.
franchise. Yeah, he did two and three. I loved two, and I did not like three. So he also did Cloverfield. He did that like remake of the Let the Right One In. If you saw that,
Oh,
with
I think
I
it's
can't
called like
remember,
Let Me
Chloe
In or
Moretz.
something.
Yeah. So he's an interesting director. You know, Robert Pattinson being Batman is intriguing. Colin Farrell being the Penguin is really intriguing. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that as well.
And
And
for
Top
the
Gun Maverick, I'm very excited for, obviously.
eh,
But
and for people still wary about going to the theaters, I have heard, or HBO has already announced that like 45 days after Batman comes out in theaters, it will be on HBO Max. So
sweet, that's cool. All right.
yeah.
I had two action movies I wanted to highlight. The first is actually an animated movie. It's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part One. Still haven't seen like the most recent Spider-Man movie, and I'm like really like almost not that interested. I sort of already know everything that happens, and I'm just like,
Right.
yeah, okay, like I get it. Sort of where I'm at with that. I didn't like the first two Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, so like I'm going to do this one with another character, Doctor Strange, who I don't really care about or like that much, and then all the nostalgia stuff. Like, okay, cool. But the first Spider Verse animated movie was so inventive and fun, and I just really loved it. And I've been looking forward to a sequel for some time. I'm really excited that they're going to do like some sort of big epic sort of saga. I think that makes total sense for that franchise, I guess. And just really kind of excited to see what they come up with because that first movie just kind of completely caught me off guard in terms of how like cool it was, and I think this one has potential to just kind of build on that. So looking forward to that. And then the other action movie is called The Woman King that I'm really excited about, and this is Gina Prince Blythewood, who you might know she directed Love and Basketball. She also directed the most recently The Old Guard, which was like a big action movie with Charlize Theron on Netflix. And The Woman King stars Viola Davis, and she's sort of like a warlord in 18th century Africa who like is taking over kingdoms. And to me, it sounds pretty awesome. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, I looked at that one, and I haven't seen the Old Guard yet. It's one that I wanted to catch up with because I liked. While I really enjoy Love and Basketball, that's available on Criterion now. I have that, and I think the Beyond the Lights I saw at TIFF, and
Yeah,
I think that's a great movie. So yeah, The Woman King looks like something I would like to see.
our sci-fi category. I mean, we've been kind of spoiled, I think, lately with like some like really big budget, like thought provoking science fiction movies. I had a little bit of a hard time finding that this year. I'm guessing you did too, based off of your selection.
Yes, I did. I tried to do more research into like what exactly was science fiction that was coming out in 2022. Maybe some of the things we just don't know yet, and we'll see more in that genre by the end of the year. But
Yeah,
I took the easy way out. I said the Black Panther sequel, Wakanda Forever. Given the technology in the first Black Panther movie, this isn't too much of a stretch to call it science fiction, but yeah, still looking forward to seeing what they do with it, even though there's been like set
just nothing,
issues.
no good news. Yeah,
Yeah, nothing good coming from the production, and of course, Black Panther is gonna have to change in this
yeah,
movie.
it's tough. I mean, obviously, I want to like support Ryan Coogler because I think he's a great director, and I loved the first one. But this is just it's like hard for me to feel excited about this movie. I think because like there's such a cloud over it with obviously the passing of Chadwick Boseman, but it couldn't just be that. It also has to be like just Letitia Wright being an idiot every which way and kind of like making the whole thing seem like it's going off the rails. Um, so I am obviously going to see it. I hope that he can pull it off. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets delayed another year. But I guess we'll sort of see what they do if they're going to call an audible because it seemed like the direction everybody thought they were going to go in is just pass the mantle to Shuri, and I don't think that's going to be feasible anymore.
Yeah, and it's just funny because it's just like when the first one came out, you were like, "Oh yeah, let's get a sequel." But now it's like, oh, almost like let's not even like bother. I know
Yeah,
that's tough to say, but it's like because it's an important character, right?
I know.
It's not just another movie, but it's a important character for a lot of people. So hopefully they're able to figure it out.
I hope so too. So I had two, and like I agreed that it was hard to find titles. Like I'm excited about both these movies, but one of them is Avatar 2, which I am not convinced is actually going to come out, but I am going to be excited like when it does, because I know people give Avatar grief, but I still think that movie slaps, and I'm excited to see all 18,000 sequels that he's definitely going to make. And then the other one I had on here is called White Noise, and this is a collaboration with Noah Baumbach, director who I love, and Greta Gerwig, also a director who I love, but also a screenwriter and actress who I love. And I don't know how like sci-fi it's going to be, but it's based off of like a Don DeLillo novel, and sometimes those have like a bit of a sci-fi bend to them. And this one is about some kind of like toxic air like disaster. So I sort of felt like maybe there's going to be stuff like that kind of comes up with that, but it's more of like how the family is dealing with it. It's like it kind of reminded me the description of it of like Take Shelter. Did you ever see Take Shelter, the Jeff Nichols movie with Michael Shannon?
Yeah, I really like that one.
Yeah, so do I. So that's like that was the vibes I got from what this was going to be. Even though I haven't read the book, but just from the descriptions I had read and stuff, and I'm kind of interested to see like whatever it ends up being. Like I'm interested to see like Baumbach and Greta Gerwig kind of tackle that type of material, because it doesn't seem like inherently, you know, like a perfect fit for them. But I'm interested.
Yeah, I also have White Noise down in my
Yeah,
prestige. I always like Baumbach movies, and I loved Marriage Story, so I'm on
that was the
board.
only one I really didn't care for. But I know I was in the minority there. It was probably his most
Yeah.
acclaimed movie, but yeah, no, yeah, he's somebody who like you don't have to pull my arm to check out what he's got next.
Are you one of those Mistress America lovers?
I love Mistress America, not as
Oh,
much as
I hate
Francis
that.
Ha, but
I hate that
I,
movie.
I do love Mistress America very much, very much.
For me, for comedy, I can't help it. I just keep on going with superhero
Super,
movies, maybe because that's what we know at this point. But
yeah, that's fair.
Thor: Love and Thunder, I liked the last Thor that was mounted by Taika Waititi, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens here. I we have a lot of stacked superhero movies. I don't know which one of these are actually going to happen this year and which ones aren't, but
Yeah, well, it's been very fluid for the last little bit, but yeah, I mean, I liked Ragnarok pretty well, so I'm looking forward to this, and I really like Thor in the most recent Avengers movies, like just as the character, I like the arc that he went on and
yeah.
everything. I felt like he was kind of like the star of those movies in a way. So it'll be fun to see like a just a more classical adventure with him and maybe Guardians of the Galaxy and I don't know what else, uh, but yeah, that'll be good. And then
Do you
what's the
ever
bubble?
want? Yeah, I went to an old comedy standby with Judd Apatow, and
Okay.
he this is his new movie. Apparently, from IMDb, it says it follows a group of actors and actresses stuck inside a pandemic bubble at a hotel attempting to complete a film. Um,
I
and that stars Karen Gillan, Pedro Pascal, Leslie Mann. You have David Duchovny, Fred Armisen, Maria Bakalova from the most recent Borat. So it's a pretty big cast. It could go terribly wrong. I mean, I think there's at least two Judd Apatow films that I just absolutely don't care for, and one of them, no, I know exactly which ones they are. I think it was like This Is 45 or something like that.
this is
And,
40.
yeah, This Is 40. I don't like that movie, and I don't like Funny People.
Okay.
Um, he's not always a grand slam for me. Uh, but yeah, it's another comedy film in the scope of things. You
Yeah,
know,
I mean,
thinking back while I was writing this, maybe I would have said Jackass Forever, like if I wrote it today, because I'd like to see that. But
I'd like to see that too, honestly. That's funny. Yeah, my comedy again, like kind of like sci-fi. It's hard to find comedies like, and that didn't surprise. Like the sci-fi thing caught me off guard because like we've had a lot of good ones. Comedy has just been a desert for a while.
you think that
Uh,
because they are going into Netflix and like they lower budget typically and not like
well, I think that Netflix is giving them tons of money.
right, but I'm saying in general, like that's where comedy is found. Is more like on these streaming
Oh, it
services
seems
and
like it. Like a traditional studio doesn't want to. Yeah, they don't want to spend. I mean, even like back in the day, like comedy still costs a lot of money because they're just paying like a lot of famous people to be in it, and so like you would have comedies that cost like 50, $60 million to make, and it's like you don't see all that on the screen. I feel like people's like tastes have changed, and it's like you don't get like everybody going to see a comedy the way you used to. So, like a studio doesn't want to finance that, whereas a streaming service has no problem doing that because they just are desperate for content. So I think that makes sense, but it still is just like I don't know. It is kind of a bummer. Like we haven't had like a lot of like really really good like kind of big studio comedies in the last few years. Um, and I don't know. I would like there to be those.
yeah,
But the one I selected is called Beth and Don, and there's like not too much out there about it, but it's written and directed by Nicole Holofcener, who is a filmmaker I really enjoy. I think I don't actually. She might have made something more recently, but the thing that I most associate her with is Enough Said, which was the Julia Louis Dreyfus and James Gandolfini sort of romantic comedy from like almost like 10 years ago.
yeah, that was like Gandolfini's like final
Yeah,
performance
yeah.
or
I
something.
think it came out like right after he passed, but anyway, I love him in that. I love Julia Louis Dreyfus in that. I love the movie. She's just a really good writer and also a good director. And oh, she wrote "Can You Ever Forgive Me?" The Melissa McCarthy
Melissa McCarthy
movie.
movie. Yeah, I really
She
like
didn't
that
direct
one.
that, but yeah, so do I. So do I. But anyway, this is about Julia Louis Dreyfus is also starring in this, and she plays a novelist whose marriage starts to deteriorate after she overhears her husband offering up a frank assessment of her work. So I don't know how funny it's going to be, but usually her movies are at least observationally funny, and I think that at the very least that's what we're going to get here. So it should be enjoyable, and I'm looking forward to it. There's no other cast attached, so I have no idea who else is going to be in it alongside Julia Louis Dreyfus, but I really like her also as an actress, and I wish she did more movies. So maybe this is a gateway there now that her second big television show is completed in Veep.
Yeah. All right, so we're on to our prestige department. So White Noise, John already talked about, and for me, the second one is Babylon, which is the Damien Chazelle movie, coming out Christmas time. I think, like from what I remember, since I'm not looking it up right now, it takes place during the era where, um, they're transitioning from like silent films into the talkies. You know, so the same era that Singing in the Rain, famously dove into, and this is another movie with a pretty stacked cast. It has like Brad Pitt attached to it and Margot Robbie. So uh, it should be a well made picture. Um, I didn't love First Man as much as maybe La La Land or Whiplash, but I can appreciate how it was made and everything. And if you watch it now, I don't think it's terribly exciting, but I think it's a well-made picture. We'll see what he has in store come this December.
Do you think that he's going to save silent films with this movie the way he saved jazz? No comment.
No, no, none.
Fair enough. Okay, so I have two here I wanted to mention. One of them is called Tar, and this is written and directed by Todd Field, who is a writer director who I love and who hasn't made a movie since I think 2006. So I'm really excited about it, even though otherwise I might not be so excited about this. It's basically some kind of biopic of a classical musician who was the first ever female conductor of a major German orchestra. Tar is the title character and is played by Kate Blanchett. So I'm looking forward to that. I do love Kate Blanchett. Mark Strong is also in this movie. Nina Haas, who I really like as an actress, she was in the Christian Petzold movies like Phoenix and Barbara, I think. She's in this also. She's very good. So just really excited for a new Todd Field movie. He did his most recent was Little Children with Kate Winslet, and before that, his directorial debut was In the Bedroom, which I think we talked about when we did our 2001 movie.
Yeah, we talked about those two movies, I think, a little bit.
So yeah, so this is his going to be his third movie in over 20 years. So looking forward to that. And then the other one I'm excited about is called Women Talking, and this is directed by Sarah Polley, who also is another director who hasn't made a ton of movies of late, but she did Stories We Tell, which was a really excellent documentary about her own life and her parents and sort of how she came to be. And she also directed a movie called Take This Waltz right around the same time, which I really loved with Michelle Williams and Seth Rogen. So this movie is it stars Rooney Mara, Jesse Buckley, Claire Foy, Frances McDormand. Pretty good cast. It is about a group of isolated Mennonite religious colony in Bolivia, and they struggle to reconcile their faith with a string of sexual assaults committed by the colony's men. So, pretty heavy, sounds like material, but also very interesting. So, very curious as to how that's going to play out. Excited that she's making a movie. Sort of trust Frances McDormand at this point. Like everything she touches has been gold of late. So hopefully this is another case of that.
Yeah, I think I came across both of those, and I was pretty interested in them. Um, More so, I think Women Talking. I think like I enjoyed Stories We Tell, but I never like jumped on it like as everyone else did. I thought it was well done, but I didn't fall in love with it. So
Yeah,
it's about time for her to do a new movie, though.
I would say yeah. Of those two, like one of them, the filmmaker, yeah, really intrigues me, and the story is kind of like okay, like fine. And then the other one, the story really intrigues me, and the filmmaker is not just fine. Like I think she's very good, but that's not the number one reason why I'm excited about it. It's more of a combination of the story and her and the cast. So
Right.
um, so we'll see. And there's others that certainly could have qualified for that category, but we had to limit ourselves. So we're up to wild card. What's your wild card?
I think we're both gonna just mention that our wild card is Nope.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's the new Jordan Peele movie. Daniel Kaluuya, Kiki Palmer, and Stephen Ewan are named on the poster. I am saying it right now. I 100% believe we will see a trailer during the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
I think you're right. Good call.
so I think we'll know a lot more about that very soon. Um, I We both really like Get Out. I think you would say you love it. Um, and Us, I'm a little bit cooler on, but I still think it's a
I
fine
loved the
movie.
Us. Yeah,
You
I thought it
did?
was good. Yeah, I did.
All right, so he's 2 for 2 for you. So maybe it
He
shouldn't be a
is.
wild card. Maybe it should be like I don't know, most anticipated.
Well, for yeah, honestly, I considered it, but like for me, it's a wild card because like we literally don't know anything about it. Besides, there's a poster with like a storm and like balloons or something,
Yeah, and 3 names.
and three names. So, like that's four names like, if you include
Yeah,
Jordan Peele as the writer director. But like it's hard to know where to put it. It could be like a I'm sure it's gonna be a horror movie, but it could be a comedic horror movie, or it could be a prestigious horror movie, or there could be sci-fi elements. Like I didn't know where else to put it, and I just sort of thought, well, that's kind of like the definition of a wild card, which like I'm excited about it, but I don't know anything. I don't know what else to say about it.
right. So maybe we'll know more about it soon. For me, my other wild card was The Whale, and that's the Darren
Yeah.
Aronofsky film. Directing Brendan Fraser, and is a big. I guess like he's been showing up more in movies, but this is a big starring role for him. And Maybe it will do
It
for
is a big starring role.
yes, yes, he famously has to put on a giant fat suit for the movie.
Yeah.
Darren Aronofsky has a way of bringing out the best performances in his actors. Especially like if you look at Natalie Portman and then you look at Mickey Rourke, both of those are fantastic performances. So it wouldn't surprise me if he gets another great performance from Brendan Fraser here. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what exactly is going on with that one. Uh, John, I'm also interested in your second wild card.
Yeah, Elvis. This is directed by Baz Luhrmann, who did Moulin Rouge,
It's
Great
been a while.
Gatsby. Yeah, it's been a little, probably since Gatsby, right?
I think he had like a Netflix show that only did like one
Oh, he
season.
did. Yeah, I don't remember. I never watched that. I don't think it was particularly well regarded, which tends to be the case with a lot of his stuff. But we keep going back to that well, and I don't know. I enjoy it. Like I like what he does. It's just like very, very over the top and opulent and lavish and silly and kind of in some ways a little tone deaf, I guess you could say. But it's like I don't know. It's escapist. So keep doing your thing. And Elvis is obviously it's going to be a biopic on Elvis Presley. This was the movie that Tom Hanks was filming when he got COVID in March of 2020. That
he, he
whole
he is not Elvis. That's important to say.
no, he's not playing Elvis. Yeah, good. I'm glad you clarified that. But yeah, I'm just kind of like, all right, there's enough like swirling around here for me to be curious and also to say like, yeah, there's a decent chance like it's terrible and I never bother. But hopefully it's fun.
Yeah, I think I like Gatsby, but I wouldn't say like I really loved any of his films in like the last 18 years because I really love Moulin Rouge, but that's a
Yeah.
long time to be just like popping out misses here and there. So
Yeah, I hear you. So that brings us to our most anticipated. We have the
yeah,
same one, although you have two. So
we had the same one as of like this morning, and then like I added the second one just because like more people were talking about it, and it
fair enough.
came up. So yeah, John and I both predictably have the Scorsese on our list, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, I know
Um,
that in 2019, we both had The Irishman as our number one, most anticipated, which would have been the last Scorsese movie. I don't remember. Like, we probably, there's a decent chance we both had The Irishman in 2018 also.
yes, probably.
But yeah, this
He
is
just makes good
Scorsese.
movies, you
This
know.
DiCaprio, right? I mean, there's nothing, in my opinion, like it's not really a question. Like, if Scorsese is a movie coming out, there's like a really good chance it's going to be my most anticipated, and then you've got kind of him with Leo again, and the subject matter is interesting, and it's just like kind of hard to deny.
Yeah, so I expect that one probably near the end of the year. We don't have. I mean, it's based on a novel, so if you're interested in
Yeah,
reading the source material, you can do that, and you'll probably know the story better than us. And I know that we could probably expect it probably near the end of the year, anyways.
yeah.
Um,
It's about it's based on a novel as you mentioned, and it's about a group of Native Americans who are murdered, and then J. Edgar Hoover is the uh, head of the FBI who wants to investigate, I guess, or something to that effect. So I don't know. I don't really know what to make of that exactly, but it's just really, Scorsese and all the rest is the reason why I'm really excited for this one.
yeah, so the other one that I just added to my list was like this morning because like there was news that David Lynch was joining the production as an actor, and that is Steven Spielberg's The Fablemans, and apparently it's a semi autobiography of his life,
Yeah.
and it stars Michelle Williams and Seth Rogen and Paul Dano. Um, Spielberg makes good movies too,
Yeah.
so we'll see what happens with this. There's been a lot of directors going back and like reliving their lives, past
I know.
lives recently. Like you have Roma and you have Belfast. So
It is one of my favorite tropes.
We'll see how it happens there. Obviously, it's still casting. I don't know if it will actually meet December, but maybe Spielberg can turn around quickly and get it done.
Yeah, I mean, hard to say for sure, right? But I'm always down for a Spielberg movie, as much as this is not exactly like the my favorite storyline or idea for him to do. If he gave me a choice, I'd be like, no, why don't you find something else to do? But I'm sure I'll watch it. So hopefully it's good.
Yeah. So that's what's our most anticipated of 2022. Hopefully, a lot of these movies come out. I know I had mentioned that I had Spider-Man on my list. I guess I took it off, but I am really anticipating it. I
Okay.
think what was the best part of it, John, was that the trailer said it was part one. So
Yeah,
we could definitely get to see a sequel to it. So
that's exciting. Yeah, I
more
agree.
Spider Verse is awesome.
No, that's great. So, well, this is fun. We'll see how these movies all pan out, and hopefully we are in for a good year at the movies, maybe a more normal year. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, the box
So
office is
that's
doing well, John, even though like you and I haven't been to the theaters yet in January, I assume. And
yeah,
now February because Scream did well. They're already greenlit Scream 6.
Jesus,
And we'll see how
Jackass is doing
Jackass
well.
and Moonfall do this weekend.
Yeah, my mom saw Moonfall.
Did she really?
She did, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. She didn't recommend it. But she did. Yeah, she's retired and she goes to the movies now like all the time. So I was like, okay, you go way more often than I do.
Yeah.
We'll do a quick what we've been watching, but before we do that, we'll let you know how you can follow us. I'm on Twitter. I'm at John L. Gilpatrick. Max, you're at.
MH Colville.
And the podcast is at It's the Pick Pod. You can also like us on Facebook at It's the Pictures. And you can send us an email at itsthepictures@gmail.com with your most anticipated movies of 2022 or your, I guess, favorites from Sundance if you were so lucky to attend.
Oh, you could
Um,
have rented films. There was digital
oh,
access.
oh, I didn't know that. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess I could have done that too. You can let us know what you thought of the Netflix teaser video if you hated it as much as we did. Whatever's on your mind. You can also subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or any other podcatching app. While you're there, please leave us a review. 5 stars will help other people discover and enjoy the show. You can also check out our newsletter. Just go to itsapictures.substack.com. We already mentioned Max will be, I should say, posting about the Oscar nominations this week. And finally, you can check us out on Letterboxd. Just search for It's the Pictures there, and you can check out what we've been logging as watched titles of late.
Yeah,
Um,
John, I'm also doing recaps of Pam and Tommy on the newsletter. If people are
yes.
interested in checking that out, I was really intrigued by the Hulu show. The first 3 episodes are already live, and it's something I felt like I wanted to do.
Okay, cool. Very good. Very good. So speaking of what we've been logging lately on the Letterbox, what have you been watching? And would you recommend it?
Yeah, so like we talked about earlier, the BAFTAs came out and they announced their 5 movies of 2022, the 5 nominations rather, and the only one of the 5 I had not seen yet was Don't Look Up, the Adam McKay, and I said, "Huh, I guess it's time." And I pressed play on Netflix, and I regretted every moment. Yeah, I didn't like this at all. It's as subtle as a sledgehammer. Pretty much, Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence play, let's say, like what astrologers, and they discover a comet heading straight towards Earth. It's going to bring destruction to Earth, but the whole movie plays it off like, yeah, people aren't really all that concerned. They go and talk to the president, who's played by Meryl Streep, And she's like, yeah, big deal. We'll wait to midterms to try to take care of it. They can't believe it. They go on this TV show, and the host is Kate Blanchett, and she's like, "Yeah, let's keep it light and fluffy." And this idea that the world is ending is not as big as um, Ariana Grande is playing a pop star in the movie. So the world ending is not as big as this pop star getting engaged on live on the show. So yeah, it's just a lot of frustration and uh silliness. Like even like when you think the movie's over, like halfway into it, you're like, oh great, maybe they're finally gonna do it. It takes like a left-hand turn, and Mark Rylance comes into the picture as like a uh Steve Jobs, Elon Musk type, and he's like, "Oh, you shouldn't destroy the comet. We should actually wait for it to like come close to Earth, and then we can use some tools to mine it for money and like just to make money from this comet hitting Earth." And there's just very little redeemable about the movie. I think like it was supposed to be funny, but I didn't find it funny at all. Um, and then like everything is so you could predictable throughout the entire course of the movie that it doesn't seem like there's a swerve anywhere. Um, so I wouldn't recommend it. I think it was probably one of my least favorite films that I watched in all of 2022.
Wow.
Yeah.
21.
What was that?
You
21,
said
yes.
2022. I said
Well,
2021.
2022 is definitely the worst.
Okay, fair enough. Not that
Uh,
many choices there.
yes, right.
Um,
But it was
okay.
really down there. John, I haven't had a chance to discuss this one with you too much.
Yeah, I don't have much to say. Like, I definitely didn't hate it as much as you did, or seems like a lot of other people. I think that like it's it's an easy target. I get what you're saying. It's not like subtle, but I don't think it was trying to be subtle. You know, I don't think any of his other movies have been subtle. It's sort of like you sort of know what you're getting going in, and it was exactly what I thought it was going to be, which was like an occasionally amusing, like not particularly surprising satire. And like yeah, it was okay. It was fine. I just like I kind of forgot about it pretty quickly, but it didn't like offend me or anything like that. And it seems like a lot of people, maybe yourself included, were like really bothered by it. It's just to me, it was like too like nothing to get too worked up about. Like
John,
other movies bother me more.
how do you cast Kate Blanchett and Meryl Streep in a movie and don't have them in one scene together?
Well, there was a zillion people, and that didn't bother me. Like, I mean, that was your complaint with the Star Wars movies was like they don't spend enough time together. And I'm like, who cares if they're doing interesting things? Not that
They're
they were
not doing
doing particularly
interesting
interesting things, but it's like I didn't need to. My regret in that movie wasn't like, oh, I wish those two random characters spent more time together. Like, I didn't care about that much.
No, I get that, and I understand what you're saying. And he has played like both sides before. Certainly, his last movie was Vice with the Dick Cheney movie, and
Right.
certainly he was trying to appeal or at least interest both sides. Um, and even the title of this movie is like when you finally understand like why it is what it is. It's just like goodness gracious, why?
I would say the only thing that I found like particularly the only thing that bothered me about like the story itself, and this is like a mild spoiler, but like that like the president's followers would at any point turn on her to me seemed totally unrealistic. Even like when they can see the comet in the sky, I feel like in real life they're just like no, like that's the George Soros is projecting that onto the sky. That's fake. That's not real. We still love you. Instead of saying like, hey, she's lying to us. We must turn on her now.
Right,
Like that to
you
me
think that they'd hold on to the bitter end until they were dust?
until they melted. Yeah,
Yeah,
like they're to me like in real life, there's no way they ever would have said, no, you're lying to us. Like they're well, I'm going to be very elitist now, but they're too stupid to ever like admit like that they were wrong or that real life, is reality.
I hope we didn't insult the 10 Republican listeners we might have. Sorry.
Whatever. I don't care. I told you where you can find me.
No, no, no.
So
Obviously, we haven't been catering to you the whole time. So,
yeah, yeah, sorry. uh, what I really loved is Atlas Shrugged. But yeah, so what I've been watching, I started to do this. A couple of friends of mine, Zach Brooks and Brendan Fitzpatrick, who host the Movie Ladder podcast, which I was on last year. They are doing this Criterion challenge. They did it last year, and they're doing it this year. And they thought I'd enjoy doing it, and so far I have. And there's 52 sort of specific like categories of movies, and you have to pick something from the Criterion collection that fits within that criteria and watch it once a week. So I've been keeping up with that. It's been, like I said, pretty enjoyable for the most part. The categories are like a movie from the 20s or a French movie. So, pretty easy to do with all the movies in the collection.
yeah, nowadays with the channel too, it makes it significantly
Exactly. Yeah,
easier.
yeah. There's a lot more than too. But most recently, or relatively recently, I watched a movie called The Scarlet Empress, which was in the Joseph von Sternberg and Marlene Dietrich box set. Did you purchase that?
I have that box set. I don't think I've seen this movie though.
Yeah, I have the box set too. I'd seen one or two of the other movies, but I hadn't watched this one. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but for some reason in my head, this was like the most acclaimed movie of the bunch, and I'm not sure if that's the case, but I loved it. It was totally my jam. It was one of the just like most enjoyable movie watching experiences I've had in some time, and it is basically like the story of Catherine the Great, who was the Russian empress in the, I believe, 1800s, maybe it was 1700s, I don't remember exactly. But it was like the story of her life, and it was told in kind of like two notable chapters where it was her as like a younger girl, and she's in Prussia, and she gets basically like told like, okay, you're gonna go marry the crown prince of Russia now so that we can have an alliance with them. And she's like, okay, this is great. He's gonna be like just a strapping, strong, like wonderful man who I'm gonna dote on and love. And she gets there, and he's just like goblin basically, and it's like, oh my god. And it's just like it's so opulent and ridiculous. Like the set design is insane, and it's hard to describe in words. Like you really have to see like what I'm talking about, but like it's so crazy, and I really really liked it. And in the second half, she kind of starts like learning how to assert herself more, and it was a terrific movie. It was like it was made in like the mid 30s. It felt like very silent movie-y, but with words. But if you see it, you'll know what I mean. Where it's just like some of the acting and some of the bigger like exterior shots and stuff like that like felt like they would have come right from a silent movie. So it's kind of fun to watch it in that context, thinking about like, man, they were just figuring out like how to tell stories in a different way, and you can tell it's like a mix of the two. But yeah, I really liked it. If you have that box set, definitely pop it in sometime and check it out. If you don't, I almost say like it's worth buying the box set just for this because it's that good of a movie. And my guess is that there's going to be other ones in there that I still haven't seen yet that I'm going to enjoy as well. Because I liked the other ones I saw. I just like they didn't leave a super strong impression, but this one definitely did.
Yeah, I mean, if you like Marlene Dietrich, then then it's an easy
Yeah,
sell.
she's really good.
I'm checking the channel right now to see if they have the Scarlet Empress on the channel right now. No, not right now, but
They
they
don't.
rotate.
Okay.
They rotate movies in there all the time, so it being part of the Criterion collection, it could come up here or there.
It's
John,
short too. It's like an hour 30, hour 40. Right in my sweet spot, as I mentioned.
yeah, thanks for the recommendation. If I reach into that box set, I'll make sure to check out the Scarlet Empress.
Cool. Yeah, I've watched some other good stuff as well just over the course of the first few weeks of the year here. The Magnificent Ambersons was the movie I watched for the 40s, which
Yeah, I
is
like
like
that
Orson
one.
Welles' follow up to Citizen Kane. I thought that was very well done. And
The
then
one of the infamous weird ending that he like didn't approve of.
yeah, he sort of disowned, right? Yeah. And then I just am like halfway through now. I'll finish tonight, maybe The Blob, which I'd never seen before, but is
Yeah,
pretty
I've never
fun as
seen that
well.
one either. But John, I mentioned at the top that I recently watched Heat. It was my first time watching it in like, ooh, I want to say like at least 10 years. And
Oh my
gee,
god.
geez, I loved it watching it
I
again.
watch Heat like multiple times a year usually.
I was like, oh, I forget so much of this movie, and like, I love how the story of Pacino and De Niro is like this yin and yang type thing, where like, oh,
Yeah.
one's the cop, one's the villain, but they both live very similar lives, um, and of course the shootout in the streets after the bank heist is unbeatable.
Yeah, really
Um,
good.
I think I had planned to watch Heat and then maybe watch Last of the Mohicans for the first time because I've never seen that. So um, we'll see.
Cool. Yeah, very good. Michael Mann time. You know,
Yeah,
they're publishing a Heat sequel novel.
I did. That's
You saw that?
yeah, that might have what made me want to do it. It sounds like almost like a Godfather 2 thing where it's like a prequel and a sequel.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's right.
Um, so and Michael Mann is one of the writers on the book. So
Yeah,
um,
so it'll be
yeah,
fun.
cool. So it was great catching up with you, John, and
You
we now have
too.
our most anticipated movies.
We should figure out what
Um,
we're gonna do next.
yeah,
Our
uh,
episodes are kind of like set for us for a little while, but I guess we'll talk about Oscars most likely soon, and figure out things from there. But yeah, no, this is fun. Hopefully, people enjoyed and are excited about 2022. And I guess that'll just about do it this week.
alrighty. Well, thank you, John.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.